Leicestershire had a rare thing to celebrate on the second day of their LV County Championship match against Gloucestershire in Bristol, as Atif Sheikh took a hat-trick in only his third first-class match before Greg Smith scored a ton, sharing in a 206-run opening partnership with Angus Robson. Resuming their first innings on 513 for 5 on the second morning, the home side lost Will Gidman in the fourth over as he was LBW to Ollie Freckingham. Will's older brother Alex had resumed his remarkable innings on a career-best 221 on the day that it was announced that he will be leaving the county after 14 years to join Worcestershire next year, and he looked to finish off a wonderful career here on another stunning September morning in Bristol. His timing throughout this knot was exemplary, and he had a few in the ground flicking through the record books, expecting more to be broken, as they had been on day one. Gidman's 35th four to go with his 3 sixes took him to his 250 off only 260 balls. He'd maintained the same strike rate throughout, scoring at just less than a run a ball in what was arguably the innings of the season by anyone across the whole country. Gloucestershire's highest ever individual score was made by Craig Spearman of 341 against Middlesex in Gloucester, while only the cricketing legends of W.G. Grace and Wally Hammond had ever scored triple hundreds for the county in Bristol. The way Gidman was hitting fours for fun by this stage, it looked as if he would better all of them and take his team to their highest ever total, beating the 695 they made in what was Spearman's match a decade ago. The score here moved on to 591 for 6 with Gidman on 264. Then something rather extraordinary occurred. Gidman's innings was finally ended as Sheikh trapped him in front to end the batsman's 274 ball knock. Then next ball, Craig Miles had his stumps rearranged by the same bowler who hadn't played a single first-class game for 4 years until last week, that one for Derbyshire. Yet he now claimed a hat-trick, and he did it in the perfect way by ripping out Liam Norwell's middle stump. There can't have been many times in the history of this game that a hat-trick has been produced with 591 runs already on the scoreboard. How Leicestershire have deserved something like this in what has been, at times, a painful season for them. Yet they were now held up by last man David Payne and Tom Smith, who were able to add 55 more runs for the last wicket. Smith had batted well with Gidman for some while and was ensuring that his side was still going to make a mammoth total in spite of Sheikh's magic. Payne pulled Jigger Nake for a maximum in making his 31 not out, before Niall O'Brien grabbed hold of a stunning leg side catch off Freckingham to send Smith on his way for 49, as Gloucestershire were all out in the 125th over for 646, the runs coming at more than 5 per over. This was the pitch that would have been used for the one-day international with India had the rain not fallen all day, and the groundsman had clearly given us one full of runs. Greg Smith got the reply moving with this 6 off Will Gidman. Bottom of the table, without a win on the road for 4 years and faced with such a daunting total, it would have been excusable had the visitors collapsed now, but instead both Smith and Robson made the most of the conditions by producing a brilliant opening partnership, one filled with some exquisite cricket shots. Watched on by a very healthy crowd enjoying the gorgeous weather and cheap bitter, this pair gave their teammates in the dressing room plenty to admire and to be pleased about. Smith made his half-century off 80 balls, this one of the 6 fours he struck in that, while Robson was at the same mark for the 10th time this year in what has been a very promising start to the youngster's career. He'd required 94 deliveries for his, and this was his 9th 4. In a summer of struggles for his team, the 22-year-old was nearing 1,000 championship runs in his first full season. The partnership was building more and more, these two putting on 135 runs between lunch and tea, and they were adding more to that as the Gloucestershire attack found bowling on this surface no easier than the visiting one. It all made Sheikh's hat-trick an even more remarkable achievement. Batsmen must dream of having pitches such as this one right across the country. Of course, given the circumstances, the fielders need to grab hold of everything they're offered. Instead, Chris Dent let this nick from Smith slip out of his hands with the batsman on 85. Norwell was the unlucky bowler there, and from time to time he did produce some excellent deliveries, this edge off the bat of Robson only just avoiding Dent. It looked as if both openers were going to score hundreds, and for Robson it would have been a second in successive matches, having made his maiden one last time out. He'd now gone past 1,000 championship runs this year. Then, would you believe it, he was run out. On 96, he cut Miles to Ian Cobain at third man and tried to come back for a second. Sent back by Smith, he slipped over on the square and was left stranded 3 shy of his ton. Smith had to quickly put that out of his mind, and having put on 206 for the first wicket, he reached the 8th ton of his career and the 2nd of this summer in Miles's next over, with his 14th 4 off his 170th delivery. It was an excellent knock, and at least he and Robson have forged a handy partnership throughout much of this season at the top of the order. But alas for the 25-year-old, he was out to the next ball he faced. Miles, having an LBW for 103, made out of a total of 214 for 2. Dan Redfern and Ned Eckersley then saw out the remaining dozen overs of what was another very entertaining day at Neville Road, and they added 32 more runs in that time. We didn't quite have the 513 runs of the first day, but those that were there still saw a hat-trick, a 250 and 379 runs scored by the two teams. And there may be many more runs to be had yet. Leicestershire will go again on 246 for 2, which leaves them exactly 400 behind and still needing 251 more to avoid being asked to follow on.